All right, we are recording. Hey, everybody. My name is Dr. Colleen Sierra. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and the founder and executive director of Sierra Center for Behavioral Health. Happy to have with me Rasheeda Graham Washington. Rasheeda, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Colleen. Thanks so much for asking, and thank you for the conversation.
Of course, I'm so happy to be chatting with you again. It's always a pleasure. Today we are here because we are going to be working with you guys in order to fundraise for two of your three businesses. Do you mind telling us a little bit about both Live Cafe and Creative Spaces as well as RGW Consulting?
Yes, it's my pleasure. So, Live Cafe and Creative Space is a community hub in Oak Park on Oak Park Avenue, where all kinds of wonderful and beautiful things around diversity, equity, and inclusion also occur. So, we're a traditional coffee shop. But we're very intentional about how we do the work we do, from the coffee to the conversation, right? Most of our partners, even as it pertains to our coffee beans, are typically the companies owned by women of color. We're also super hyper local in how we do our work at Live. Most of our inventory comes from within a 5 to 8 mile radius of the coffee shop. And so we're all about refurbishing that which has been lost and restoring and reconciling people and relationships and that kind of thing. And making things more just and equitable. And people who support the coffee shop, they know that they're supporting that. So the work we do at Live is kind of my tangible expression of diversity, equity, and inclusion. RGW Consulting, which stands for Reimagining and Generating Wonder, is a boutique firm that focuses on um, teaching, coaching, training, facilitating conversations around anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if you could think of RGW as the sort of philosophical arm of the work, the theory and teaching part of the work, then you think about Live as the tangible, practical application of the theory. Um, yeah, that's kind of the tandem bike of our two companies, because I always wanted people to know that I wasn't just telling them things they should do. Live also holds me accountable to doing the
To
things as
them. Yeah.
well.
I love one
Yeah.
of the things I love the most about what you say about Live and how those two organizations work together is serving up coffee alongside difficult conversations.
Yeah.
I love how those two things work together so well and help inform
Yeah.
our community and our mindset.
Mhm. Mhm.
You mentioned having a lot of partnerships, right? Hyper local partnerships. And the word that you used is intersectional partnerships. Can you tell us a
Mhm.
little bit more about what that means and looks like?
Yes, I'll give you a perfect example. So last week we did these MLK themed meals where every offering we had somehow infused one of Dr. King's favorite parts of his meal. And we partnered with Versatility Catering, where Fred Brown is the senior chef, to do that work with us. Everything's prepackaged and Corona, COVID-19 safe, right? All the things. Well, he has to get his fruits and vegetables and all of that from somewhere in order to be able to make those meals for us. So, Versatility Catering partnered with 40 Acres Fresh Market with Liz Abunau, and they get their produce from her to make the meals for Live. And so when you come and purchase a meal from Live Cafe, you're supporting at least three small businesses of color by buying this one product.
Absolutely. So cool again to see how all of those people and places work together to make that happen. So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Um, you've got amazing things going on now, as you always have. And I know that COVID can't have been easy. It must not be
Oh,
easy right now. Can you tell us a little bit about how COVID has impacted these two businesses?
oh my goodness. Well, I will start by talking about the ways in which health disparities intersect racism, right? So on the RGW side of things, we became extremely busy in a very um, short period of time in a way that was in some ways cumbersome for the organization, just because their healthcare in America is a social justice issue at this point. It's an injustice, right?
Mhm.
And so when we know that COVID is impacting Black people 6 times more significantly than their white counterparts, that quickly sounds like an equity and justice issue. So there have been a lot of companies seeing that and recognizing that and wanting to be responsive to that as an injustice in their organization. And so it's been weighty to experience those conversations. And as it pertains to live, I mean, live is essentially retail or restaurant space, right? And the rules have changed so much that we've even spent money just trying to outfit and re-outfit to accommodate the ever changing landscape that is COVID-19, right?
Mm.
So that's been hard. We had to close twice. We haven't had any cases, but when the cases get to a certain number, we close because we want to keep the community safe.
Right.
And when our doors are closed, we can't bring in any revenue. So that's been really challenging, you know. So yeah, I think it's been incredibly difficult because the rent is still due every month,
Mhm.
whether people show up or not, you know, and those things have to be done. And we know that we hold those weighty things with the reality that we also know that the work that we're setting out to do is very important.
Mhm.
And so, how do you try to kind of hold it together in this interim space so that we will be there for the long haul?
Absolutely, and that's where community comes in, right?
Mhm.
And cooperation, and so that's exactly why we're so hopeful and excited to partner with you, because we want you to be around, after this, and we're confident that you will, but if we can help as a community make that possible, then that's what we should be doing. Um, so the community I know has rallied, and but I also know that there was a really unfortunate incident that occurred
Mm.
at the start of the year. Are you comfortable saying a little bit about that?
Yes, yes. Thank you for asking, Colleen. I would just say that the coffee shop experienced a really traumatic exemplar of violence on January 6th, the same day that the Capitol was taking on its own new history, right? And, you know, there were lots of correlations in terms of how it made people feel. There was a lot of grief, there was a lot of sadness, there was anger and resentment, because in both cases, um, there was something that belonged to all of us, that someone decided it was appropriate to take away from all of us, right? And so that's a community grief, right?
Mm.
Um, and like super grateful and thankful for the ways that the community has rallied and the ways that the community has supported us and come alongside us and all of the things. It has been incredible to witness a community operate in this way. But also I grieve for us because we had a vigil, we had lament and grief and sadness as if there wasn't already enough of that to go around in this season. And so I just hold those things together, recognizing that how grateful I am to have my community, but how unfortunate it was to have had to be in that space as a community. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it was devastating for the community,
Hmm.
um, and the vigil was such a lovely way to feel all of those things, right?
Yeah.
The gratitude,
Yeah.
the loss, and the devastation, and the hope. It was a whole mix of things, wasn't it?
It was, it was. I got text messages well into the night from there were over 1,000 people and everyone was masked. The police blocked the streets off and kept everybody safe. I had no idea that it was going to that that we would have such a groundswell from the community, right? Um, and then I got text messages through the night from people who had been there that I couldn't see because it was so many, who wanted to support everything. And that was just really beautiful to witness. And one of the things I realized is that in some ways it was our gift because we really had not seen each other
Mhm.
um, in a very long time,
Long time.
you know. So the idea that that moment broke, there was just a little light that came in that, um, and that's kind of my North Star from that experience.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that, and that's the energy we're hoping to really to use and capitalize on, and so that we can continue to help you do the incredible things that you're doing in the community, so that we get more of the community on board, and it can really be a full village effort. So that's
Mhm.
exactly what we're trying to do here. Anything else that you want to share about this partnership and this fundraiser?
Just that I really couldn't be more grateful, um, for, the resources and but also the emotional support, the presence of care, the knowing that, there are folks who are rallying around the coffee shop and around RGW and around me, that I also feel seen and known in this, not centered, but seen.
Mhm.
And so I continue to be grateful for those gifts.
Well, I'm so glad because we are grateful for you and we are grateful for the spaces that you've created. And we're grateful that we get to do this alongside of you. So thank you so much for chatting with me. And
Thank you.
yeah, the work continues, right?
Yes, indeed it does.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rashida.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Good talking to you. Bye.
Bye.